Are you paying a ton in shipping to send out products, samples, and whatever else? The fees really add up, but lucky for you, we now have a partner that gets you access to the discounted shipping rates that are usually only available to those big companies. I worked with them for my last beverage brand, and I can tell you they definitely got us savings. Whether you're sending overnight samples, fulfilling e-commerce orders, or even a 40-foot ocean container, our partner, Enterprise Purchasing Group, or EPG, has got you covered. There are a bunch of free benefits you can get by signing up with them. You can get up to an 86% discount on small parcel shipments from UPS, DHL Express, UPS, and more. You get really competitive LTL and FTL rates through UPS. You get discounted spot and fixed ocean rates through Flexport and Maersk. You get exclusive air freights, and you also get preferential terms with supply chain financing. All you need to do is reach out to Francis Agas. His email is francis, Francis, at enterprisepurchasing.com. Mention the Startup CPG discount and take advantage of those savings. Good luck, everybody, and happy shipping.
The last magical part of Hot N Saucy is really me being able to talk to people and explain to them, my thought process in developing the flavors and, just kind of pouring in my own personal passion about the brand and the sauces. I really feel kind of takes it over the edge for people. So that is something that we are definitely going to be doing for the end of this year and going into next year. So my goal is also to get into restaurant spaces, do food service sizes as well, so that I can sort of take it back to my roots and, be able to touch people in that way as well.
Hello, Startup CPG listeners, and welcome back to the podcast. This is Grace, and I am here with another founder feature. Today, I am talking to Sam, a former chef and now founder of Hot N Saucy, a line of delicious and innovative hot sauces. Sam has had a whirlwind of a few years. She not only launched Hot N Saucy in the middle of the pandemic, but she has also had 2 kids, moved to Atlanta, and then seen Hot N Saucy grow at an exponential rate. I loved chatting with Sam, and I hope you enjoy listening to this interview. As always, let me know what you think. Hello, and welcome back to the Startup CPG podcast. This is Grace, and I am here with another founder feature. Today, I'm talking to Sam, who is the founder of Hot N Saucy, which is a line of truly delicious hot sauces made from a wide variety of ingredients. But welcome to the show, Sam. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here also.
Yeah. So just to start us off, I'd love to hear, who is Hot N Saucy in the founder's words, and why did you decide to create this brand?
Yeah. I always say that I accidentally fell into CPG. Prior to starting the company, I was a chef in New York, over 10 years, worked in tons of great restaurants. I also did private chefing for some celebrities and athletes and had my own catering business. So it was busy, intense. I also did consulting, did a lot. 2020 was the height, of my career, or what I thought. I was, coming off of wine and food festivals, magazine features. It was supposed to be my year. And then COVID happened. In addition to some life changes, on the day that New York City shut down was the day that my husband and I found out we were expecting our first child.
Oh my God.
And I also stopped working that day. It was, the end of work for me. So while we were in lockdown, I was having this, progressing pregnancy and was having insane cravings for spicy foods. I would send my husband out into the madness in Manhattan during the time just to get me hot sauce. And he'd come back, disheveled, tired, I found these for you. And I hated everything. Everything was either too spicy, blow out your palate, way too spicy in my opinion, or too vinegary. So I was like, well, I'm home, I have time. I'm just going to make sauce that I like. So I used vegetables I liked, ingredients I liked, made sauces that made me and baby happy. Then I was like, well, I will, make an Etsy page. I'll sell them to like my mom and friends, make a couple bucks, whatever. And I think with the power of social media and people being home and on their phones, we had a few like really crazy, viral moments. I officially launched the brand in August of 2020 with 3 flavors. And by December of 2020, we were asked to be on Hot Ones. So literally, Hot Ones they have like their own universe of followers and, just a great brand that literally blew us into the stratosphere. And I've been playing catch up with Hot N Saucy ever since.
Wow, that is crazy to go from, August little pandemic business to now we're on this huge show that celebrities are going on and trying our hot sauces. And just to give a shout out, my favorite of your hot sauces is the black garlic hot sauce. I'm like obsessed with that one. And
thank you.
So delicious. So going back a little bit to your development of these hot sauces, obviously you were making them in your kitchen at home. How did you get them to a point where you could take them out of your home and get them on, a TV or a YouTube show?
It was being forced to, I had no choice. When that first PO came in, I was like, I have to get this done. So I was very, very fortunate, I will say, to find a co-packer who was willing to take me on and work with me in 2020 because everything was shut down. No one was taking on new customers. And they were willing to do what needed to be done, for me. And I was very, appreciative for that. Were they the best? No, I've grown past them, obviously, but it literally was what I needed at the time. So I very quickly had to scale. In the midst of all of that, I ended up relocating from New York down to Atlanta. So I was able to rent space in a commercial kitchen. I was, going in all hours of the night, making sauce, bottling, labeling, packaging, shipping out orders. But this co-packer definitely helped me with like the large POs, anything over about 10,000 units. But honestly, up until a year and a half ago, I was still making sauce, bottling, labeling, doing everything on my own for like smaller amounts that were needed.
Yeah. Wow. That is a lot of work, I'm sure. But I suppose coming from the restaurant industry as a chef, you were maybe that was kind of familiar to you to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to scale a recipe, being able to cook in like larger formats, it was fine with me. But, with like the new life changes. So now I have 2 babies. Doing that while, postpartum and like, having to run back and like pump and it was madness. It really was. But I think all of that madness is what kind of kept me going. I was like, well, I can't stop now.
No time to stop and think about how crazy it is.
Exactly.
What you're doing. You just have to keep going.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you had your first, as you said, viral moment and you suddenly got all of these orders that maybe you weren't expecting?
I just thought it was wrong. I was like, wait, what? Like, how do people know, about this product? I mean, I'm an older millennial, so obviously I was around with like the inception of social media, but I just never really, still not really into it, like that personally, but you see sort of other brands, really benefit from social media. So when it happened to me, I was just like, what? This is real? Like people really do find out about products on social media. They, follow your pages based on someone else's review of it. So yeah, it was really great and organic. I really liked the fact that like for the first few years that this business has been around, it really has been like organic growth, word of mouth. And yeah, I just think that keeps it more, authentic and true to who I am.
Absolutely. And I think that's something customers and consumers are looking for is a brand that feels authentic to the person who created it and getting to know the person who created it versus this monolithic, huge brand where you have no idea who works there or what they're all about.
Exactly.
So you mentioned about a year and a half ago, you started working with a co-packer or a co-man. So how was the process of moving from your own commercial kitchen to working with a co-packer?
I mean, physically, great. Here, take it. You do it. Mentally, it also like cleared up, some mental fog and got rid of some anguish and stress. But it was fairly easy. The manufacturer that I work with, they're amazing. They're committed to growing with me and my company. So they're very flexible. They're very understanding. And initially they allowed me to be, the crazy owner, the hardline chef who wanted to come down and taste and, check out the quality of the ingredients or whatever. But they've been great. They really have been great. Yeah. And I feel like it was sort of seamless taking the product from my hands to their hands. And, the customers, I don't feel have noticed the difference. I feel like if anything, they're more happy with the product because it's more consistent. So.
Yeah. And how did you find this manufacturer? How did you get connected?
I literally called every single co-packer
in
the United States. I mean, we were home. We had time. I had time and opportunity. I spent a lot of days and nights Googling and doing my due diligence and calling and begging and pleading. And, they had come really highly recommended. But again, everyone was just not taking on new customers. So when they responded and said, hey, we're opening up, we can take you on, it just was like Christmas.
I'm sure. But it does go to show that patience and doing your due diligence and waiting for the right partner is so important because, as you said, this changeover was seamless and it's been great and you love working with them. Whereas if you had just gone for maybe the first person to say yes, you might not have had such a successful changeover from your hands to theirs. So I think that is, although a lot of work and energy and time, it seems like it's been worth it for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So far. So returning to what you were saying about the organic growth of Hot N Saucy, what have you been doing to, over these last 4 years, keep up that momentum of, people just discovering Hot N Saucy? How do you keep up the organic growth momentum as you've grown?
I hate to say it, we haven't done much marketing. This year I've been telling people that I have to stop resting on my laurels. But, being on Hot Ones twice, we've had just like a lot of really, really great and unexpected press placements. So over the holidays, we were a part of Oprah's favorite things list. Any holiday, that happens or, whatever, we're always included on a list. So I think just a lot of frequent press hits have kept us just in people's face. In addition to just launching into some retailers, that has sort of expanded us to just like different demographics, different cities that I probably wasn't, getting online customers from. But this year, and especially next year, we really have a more planned out, marketing strategy. where we're going to hit, who we're going to target, and not just sort of taking, what comes to us and rolling with that.
It's amazing how much press you've received, though, because I was looking at your website and I'm like, oh, wow, they must have really put in a lot of work to get all of this press. So how do you get on like an Oprah's favorite things list?
Literally, when I tell this story, like, I feel like people don't believe me. I ignored their emails for quite some time.
Oh,
I thought it was spam. I literally thought it was spam because I was like, there ain't no way in hell that these people are emailing me. And, the times we live in now, like, you just don't know, God bless their team, love them. But the emails they sent had like different fonts. You can tell that parts of it were copied and pasted. And I just thought, I was like, this Oprah wouldn't do that. Oprah's not going to send me an email that's like, has copy and paste in it or different colors, different fonts. So I ignored it. And then I got this call, and I normally don't pick up calls that I don't know, but I just happened to pick it up. They're like, hey, have you been like getting our emails? And I was like, oh crap. Really?
Oh my God.
But how they chose me, I have no idea. So that just really speaks to, again, word of mouth, just being talked about in places that I would have no idea. But how someone in that company knew about Hot N Saucy, was able to talk about it enough to, convey it to the people who choose for the list was really amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I love that story because you do get a lot of spam,
Oh my gosh.
in this day and age.
Yeah. And people are always trying to sell you something like, hey, we can put you, inside of Vogue if you pay $10,000 for this. I'm like, I'm not paying for that. So it really came off as just something that wasn't.
We'll be right back. Hola, amigos. About 4 years ago, I got a message from a designer in Colombia who said she'd like to work with Startup CPG to build her reputation in the US. I couldn't believe how affordable her pricing was, and the quality looked top-notch. I started work with them for Startup CPG, and then a bunch of my other CPG projects as well. Fast forward to today, they are the most beloved agency in our Startup CPG community. They've got dozens of happy customers like Prickly and so many more. I recommend them to absolutely anybody who will listen because the combo of top-notch quality and very reasonable pricing is exactly what you want as a startup brand. You can hire them for branding, packaging, your website, or they actually have an awesome startup package that will do all three. If you want to learn more, email them at startupcpg@wagondesignstudio.com or check the show notes. You could also post on our Slack for feedback and just be overwhelmed by how many people want to sing their praises. Gracias, Wagon! And now, back to the show.
Yeah. That is so funny. And I literally, when I looked at your press page, I was like, oh, they must be working with like a PR agency or something. They have so much press, but it's people are just spreading the word about Hot N Saucy, which also speaks to the quality of your products and that they are genuinely really delicious.
Thank you.
So yeah, congratulations on all of that. And I also wanted to return to something you said about retail expansion.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been growing into that as well. I saw that, you guys have expanded into Targets. So how have you been approaching that retail growth and standing out on shelves when there are a lot of hot sauces on the market, and especially these legacy hot sauces, right? Everybody knows what they're going to get if they choose a Tabasco. So how have you approached both getting into retail and then also standing out on the shelf once you're there?
Well, getting into retail, I think, was always my plan. Just even when I started developing the sauces, there really is like a clear distinction of, there's a ton of hot sauces, but there's a clear distinction between what's on grocery store shelves. So there are like the red chili based vinegary types, delicious, love them, will always reach for them. But you have like that flavor, profile. And then you have, the more um, daring ones, but they all still kind of have the same ingredients, the same, you're going to get like a fruit and habanero, you're going to get like a milder jalapeno or serrano. So, I automatically knew from the jump that my flavors were like insanely unique.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when I was thinking about the branding as a chef, you're really used to like just playing the back. I was always like an amazing number two, in my career, but never really had myself, in the forefront. So I kind of promised myself, like, if I'm really going to do this, I want it to be like as bright and bold and funky as me. I want it to have like my personality. I put my friggin' head on the bottle with like my curly fro. I just wanted it to be fun and look really what I thought would be like a representation of me. So I picked colors that I loved, and unknowingly, all of these colors are kind of colors that don't exist on like labeling, for these hot sauces, that are already on shelf. So automatically when you see our sauces, your eyes go directly to them, the colors of the labels. And then I think what is really great about our sauces, is the discoverability about them. So people are really curious when they see these flavors like collards and ghosts. Oh my God, there's collard green hot sauce, sweet potato. What in the world? So they're really curious about these ingredients. So that's like the next step, way before they even tasted it. So they love it. They love how it looks. They love the names. And then when they taste it, it's just like, oh, I'm sold. I'm sold.
Yeah.
What is this? I love it. So the old adage, you eat with your eyes. I just really feel like when people see the label and sort of, get the feel of it in comparison to bottles that are on the shelf, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And have you been doing or worked with any sampling agencies or done sampling or demos yourself at some of your retail locations?
Not yet. It is something that I absolutely want to do. I feel like, the last magical part of Hot N Saucy is really me. Being able to talk to people and like explain to them, my thought process in developing the flavors, and, just kind of like pouring in my own personal passion about the brand and the sauces. I really feel like kind of takes it over the edge, for people. So that is something that we are definitely going to be doing, for the end of this year and going into next year. And, we've just developed some packets, smaller format packets. So my goal is also to get into restaurant spaces, do food service sizes as well, so that I can sort of take it back to my roots and, be able to touch people in that way as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I mentioned this to you before we started talking, but there is a restaurant near where I live in Philly called Honeysuckle Provisions, for any of my Philadelphia people listening. But they stock Sam's delicious Hot N Saucy sauces also because the chef at Honeysuckle used to be, you were saying, your sous chef. So I love some of that circularity of, your restaurant experience with your now CPG experience all coming together. And it's super fun to see. And I'm like, they should put one of your hot sauces on their sandwiches.
Soon come.
Yes.
I love working with them, and, any type of collaboration they want to do, I'm there.
Yes. Yeah. And I love, everything they do at Honeysuckle Provision. So now this is just becoming an advertisement for their
of course.
restaurant.
Go there. Open Civil are the best.
A double advertisement here. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, partially just because I love this idea, but I know you did a collaboration with Miller High Life and created this
Mm-hmm.
dive bar hot sauce. So could you talk a little bit about how that came to be, and then also your approach to this partnership and working with partners in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people always tell me I'm too humble, but it really still does shock me. And I really do have to pinch myself. One, that people even know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there. But two, the fact that, this brand, this just like idea I had has just gotten into places that I never, have been able to walk into as myself. And that so many people who I just, don't personally know about my hot sauce and love it and, like love the brand. It's mind blowing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So they reached out to me and I checked my email and, I was like insanely flattered, but it was really sort of like serendipitous because as a chef, like Miller High Life was one of the, my drinks of choice after a very long day on the line.
Yes.
So it really was like a great, sort of synergy. They wanted something that sort of gave you the feel of drinking the champagne of beers in, your favorite sort of watering hole dive bar. So I approached it with, trying to bring in the flavors and the essence of dive bar food in the hot sauce. So it has smoky chipotle peppers, a lot of like black pepper, lemon juice to sort of give you the feel of like, lemon pepper chicken wings, the smokiness of, being in a dive bar. It has sort of like that acidic, sweet taste that would remind you of like a wing sauce or ketchup. So it really worked out. And the High Life is cooked into the sauce also. And when I tell you that thing has been selling, people are loving it. I think it's just such a cute idea. And to, have a sauce that really celebrates this amazing drink and a place where we all, love to go to, or maybe have all, been to in our youth or even now. It's just a nice celebration of dive bars, I think.
Yeah, it's so fun. And I too love the whole idea and just the vibe, and it feels like it goes so perfectly together. So I know you mentioned that you are not the hugest social media person, but given that these amazing brands like Miller High Life and like Oprah's Favorite Things are able to find you, how do you try to show up on social media and make yourself and Hot N Saucy known to not only these brand press and collaborators, but also your potential customers, consumers? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I definitely have thought more seriously about this year. So we sort of came into 2024 with like this new look. So I'd hired a creative director to just like really polish out, our brand guidelines. We did this amazing photo shoot that really gave a cohesive like personality to the brand, to where it didn't depend so heavily on me telling the story. I feel like the images, the colors, everything can sort of tell that story for me. And now I am, the past 4 years I have launched a business, had 2 kids, trying to figure out how to be a mom, a wife, a business owner. So it was just a really, really crazy period of transition on so many different levels for me. But this year I feel more like myself, what I mean? And I have made a promise to myself that I am going to be more customer facing, be more forward facing on social media. So I've started, I haven't done as many yet, but started doing videos, trying to be just very honest about the journey, honest about my thoughts and, what's happening with the business and just me, So yeah, I'm just trying to really tell like a very authentic story and just show people that behind this delicious sauce is still a person who's, just trying to figure it out. And honestly, with the help of, I call my customers hotties. With the help of our hotties, they have helped take this from a simple idea to a full functioning, almost 7-figure business.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's to hear you list everything that you've done in the last 4 years. I'm already tired myself. But so thinking of that, what are some of the resources that you leaned on during this time of intense change and transition as you've grown this business, grown 2 children? What are the things that have helped you get through such a crazy whirlwind?
I mean, definitely my family, my husband, my mother, my sister, just everyone in my, inner circle. They've heard me scream, cry, rant, rave, be excited. They really have supported me every day of this journey. But also the fact that I'm just like, I don't know if I could go back to a restaurant. I'm getting older. I don't know if my back can take it. I don't know if my knees can take it. Like, this has to work out because what am I going to do? And that's as real as it can get. I'm just like, this has to work out because I cannot do any more 18-hour days standing up. But really just trying to, not let the voices in my head dissuade me from doing this. And just being hopeful that, the love and the admiration that people have for this sauce will carry on. And that the people who've not heard about it yet, have not tasted it yet, will feel just the same. I mean, my hopes are that it definitely becomes a brand, that is on the shelves. You're used to seeing it. It becomes a legacy brand because it's so different. It's so unique. I definitely think it could stand the test of time next to, the big dog, so to speak.
We'll be right back. Hey guys, I know you all want to grow on Amazon, so I'm so excited to tell you about our official Amazon agency partner, Daybreak. I think they are the best fit for emerging brands. Their retainer is less than half of what most agencies charge, and their team are total killers. I worked with them on my last brand because I'd heard such good things, and they absolutely crushed it. They'll get you started on Amazon or help you level up. First, they fix up your listing. They make your creative ads, they manage your operations and advertising, and can even help with channels like Instacart and Criteo. If you're interested, email them. It's startupcpg@daybreak.agency. It's also in the show notes. And make sure to mention Startup CPG for $600 of free design credits. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those are great resources and ways to keep going. And I too understand. I briefly worked in the restaurant industry myself, and I think I definitely can't go back.
Yeah, I love it. I miss it, but physically, I'm a woman of a certain age now.
Right. It takes a toll. It toll. It really does. I really understand. So thinking then of, obviously you've mentioned some of the challenges, some of the whirlwind of running a business. But what are you most proud of over these last 4 years? And what sort of is a shining North Star for you?
Yeah, I'm proud of the fact that in a sea of no's, I still have been able to keep this business afloat. We are totally bootstrapped, and I've been able to figure it out and rise to the occasion of every expenditure that has come my way. But also just the fact that I was able to take what felt like the most insane idea and really just run with it and not let the outside noise, not let my inner, what the hell are you doing, girl thoughts, sort of get in the way. And just really the consistency, you know what I mean? Like, I know when I started, the bottles look crazy, like the logos weren't there. The Instagram pictures were a little grainy and, didn't look great. But the fact that I was just able to stay the course, I am really proud of, because I know that a lot of people don't make it that far because of that fact. They'll stop just way too early.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some stat out there that's like most startups fail within 2 years. And I think just the fact that you've made it 4 and have all these amazing opportunities really speaks to your persistence and your talent, honestly, in creating this delicious product, and also being okay with being imperfect at first and making changes. Because I think that's something that also stops a lot of people from even ever beginning, is like, well, I don't have the perfect label. I don't have the perfect this. And you just never know what's going to happen. So I love that. And one very important question I have for you is, are your kids old enough to try your hot sauces yet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I have a 3-year-old who's about to be 4 and a just turned 2-year-old. And they are absolutely obsessed with our mildest flavor, garlic and pepperoncini. But literally nothing gets eaten in my house without garlic and pepperoncini. So fries, noodles, chicken nuggets, anything, they want the garlic and pepperoncini.
Oh my God, I love that. And I bet they're going to have the most amazing palates as they get older, if that's what they're starting off with.
I hope so. Those poor kids, I used to come home covered in like pepper dust. We'd all be sneezing in the car,
my God.
So they have really, been through it with me as well. So, yeah.
It's a family business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what does the future look like for Hot N Saucy? The next year, the next few years? What's coming down the pipeline?
Definitely, more retail. My goal is to really have a Hot N Saucy footprint in sort of every region of the country. Because we do really good business online to like these sort of, obscure places where I'm like, how do they know about me in Oklahoma? But really to just get like a retail presence in each region of the country, to still have a super robust D2C, even though I'm hoping to like sort of flip it, do more wholesale than D2C. And then obviously break into the food service, and restaurant world. I feel that little chef part of me still wants like the sauce to be in restaurants. So we have packets, dip cups, gallons, half gallons available. And I'm really going to be hitting the ground, going into these restaurants and really trying to sell it. Cause I just feel like that's the best way to do it. It's the old school way, but really it is the best way to, start relationships with these restaurants and get us in there. And yeah, just to not fail, like to stay afloat, to not drop dead in the process.
To maybe have a vacation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was like, and maybe at some point, just really stop to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so easy as a founder to just keep looking at the to-do list, to keep focused on just what needs to happen rather than looking back and seeing how far you've come and celebrating all of the wins and allowing yourself that moment to really celebrate. So I hope you take that as well. So as we wrap up, I love to ask just how can our listeners, how can the Startup CPG community support Hot N Saucy?
Definitely. So if you are near a Target or Super Target, definitely pick us up on the shelf.
Yeah.
We are also national in Publix. So that is my Southeast, people. When you go get your pub sub, grab a bottle of Hot N Saucy to go with it. You can follow us on Instagram. We always have like really great and fun, contests on there. Like I said, we call our customers hotties, and we just have a lot of fun on Instagram. The handle is Hot N Saucy Co. And yeah, just, see us, buy us, retweet, follow, just stay engaged with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you like mild, try the garlic and pepperoncini. If you like a little spicier, try the black garlic. And then there are many other flavors that you have. Or try the Dive Bar hot sauce.
Yeah.
See which one floats your boat. But if you're like me, the black garlic's for you. But yeah, this was so much fun, Sam. It's so much fun to learn about Hot N Saucy and your journey and all of the above. And I can't wait to see where Hot N Saucy goes next.
Thank you so much. Startup CPG has been a really great resource. You all have helped me. I've asked tons of questions on the Slack channel. So it has also been very integral in, helping us grow and scale. So I appreciate you all as well.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Well, thank you all for listening. And yeah, check out Hot N Saucy and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, it would help us out so much if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I am Grace Kennedy, the editor for Startup CPG, so feel free to add me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on Slack. I'm always on the hunt for new and exciting brands to feature. And if you're a potential sponsor that would like to appear on the podcast, please email partnerships@startupcpg.com. And finally, as a reminder for anyone listening, if you haven't already, we would love for you to join our community on Slack, and you can sign up via our website, startupcpg.com.